there is a genetic evidence, a fascinating genetic evidence for Mahabharat. Mahabharat war happened for 18 days. So there were 18 Aukshohini, that much worth of soldiers fought during the Mahabharat war. 11 on the Kaurava side, 7 on the Pandava side. The total number for 18 comes out equal to 4 million male. In the Mahabharat, the people came from as far west as Syria.
Wow.
And as far east as Indonesia. Nobody participated in Mahabharat war from South America, from Oceania, like Polynesia, or the northern Russia. 3 million men fought for 18 days and practically 99.99% of them died. That's what Mahabharata tells us. The estimated population number is between 5 to 20 million for our total human population, okay, in 6 millennium BC. So for our exercise, I'm going to take it 20 million, the higher number. And for simplicity, I'm going to say out of that 20 million, half of the people were affected by the Mahabharat war, meaning people came from this area. So 10 million people were affected. They all did not come. In 10 million, 5 million would be women, 5 million would be men, a reasonable thing. Out of that 10 million or 5 million men, 4 million men were gone in 18 days. What are we left with? 1 million men and 5 million women. What is that ratio? Ratio is 5:1. Like suddenly a huge male population is gone. So now there are only 1 million men for 5 million women, so to say, for the further population. And so that bottleneck in the Y chromosomes is going to come out as a signature into the future population. Make sense? Okay. So 4 million people gone. The 10 million people in the area where the Mahabharat war was affected, so to say, which is what? India, Middle East, and further east of India. So think of those colors, the blue, the light blue, and a green. India came to the bottom. The first line to deviate, come down, the deepest, the green line I'm following. And then if you follow, it stays longer at the bottom and almost the last one to recover. Then follow quickly two. One is the Near East, which is Middle East. You see that orange kind of line? Just after green, it follows down and then goes straight up. Which is like, it had an effect like a Bhagadatta's army, let's say. But then it quickly recovered.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Then you look at the East Asia, that Southeast Asia. So they also are affected, not as much as India, and also they recover. This is fabulous. So the epicenter is India. And keep on going down.
Africa, which has again a smaller dip, more gradual dip.
Correct.
So Andes, again, the fall happens perhaps because of European invasion. And which other? Siberia, which is the pink line.
Again goes like haywire.
No connection to these falls.
See? Now bring back to here. So out of 10 million, 4 millions are gone, men are gone. Now the ratio remaining is 5:1. Monica Carmin paper written in 2015, who knows nothing about the Mahabharat, they are saying there was a male gene bottleneck, Y chromosome bottleneck in 7,500 years ago, 5561 BCE. I mean, they don't say 5561 BCE. The extent of that bottleneck was 16:1 on the absolute scale or 5:1 on a relative scale. 5:1 based on a population, 5:1 in their paper. One more thing. And what was the epicenter? Where was the impact of this the highest, the deepest? India. That is that green line. The effect that you see on Europe, if I have those additional plots, I will show you that dip that happens or the change that happens in Europe is not in 7,500 years ago. It is about 2,000 to 3,000 years afterwards. Now you tell me what happened.
That the same descendants eventually gradually migrated out of India.
Bingo. That is, these are the post-Mahabharat migrations. Now, is this just a guesswork? Of course, here genes is telling us, but it's not a guesswork. We have the evidence not only for human beings, we have a evidence for a migration of cows. The Zebu cows going to Middle East and further, and those times are 3000 BC, 2000 BC. The domestic mouse, this is something fascinating, I'm saying for all Indians, but jokingly I say people from UP also, because you take the gene pool of the mouse, the domestic mouse. And what is the importance of domestic mouse? It's directly connected with agriculture, established agriculture, because that's where it survives and stays. Right?
In farms.
And in the houses, nearby houses, in our houses, going around, stored grains and so on. There are many varieties of domestic mice, but let's say there are 3-4 main varieties. They have gone all around the world. Okay. But if you start back to the future kind of backwards and start going back after the gene, who is the father of this mouse and who is the father of this mouse and so on, it ends up in India, and within India, it ends up in UP. This is a Bonhambi paper, 2007. There are multiple papers. That domestic Indian mouse is seen as far as South France and Israel, Ramayana times 12,000 BC, Mahabharata times 5,500 BC and afterwards. Mouse did not just fly and say, let me take a vacation in Switzerland. It went with the migrations.
Wherever the humans went.
Where the human beings.